The planet Azarix had always been a hub of galactic activity. Its sprawling cities, with their crystalline spires and bioluminescent streets, housed countless alien species from across the stars. Trade, diplomacy, and scientific advancements thrived here, overseen by the Zelani, a species renowned for their wisdom and adaptability. But now, the city of Korath was silent. The streets were empty, save for the flickering remnants of lights and the skeletal remains of once bustling marketplaces. A strange, dark haze clung to the air, casting everything in an eerie twilight. High Scholar Vrel of the Zelani stood on a balcony overlooking the city, her translucent skin rippling with hues of deep green, a sign of fear. Behind her, a team of medics and scientists worked tirelessly, their instruments emitting faint hums and flickers of light. "The shadows have claimed another world," said a voice from behind her. It was Turan Kale, a towering, reptilian envoy from the Dramari. His voice was gravelly, but there was an uncharacteristic softness in it. Korath was a beacon. If even Azarix has fallen, what hope do we have? Vrel turned, her large, multifaceted eyes reflecting the dim glow of the city. "We will find the source," she said, though the resolve in her voice was strained. "The shadows cannot spread forever. There must be a cause, a cure." Turan scoffed but said nothing. The Invincible Shadows, as they were called, had appeared without warning a standard year ago. Planets fell silent, their populations succumbing to an invisible plague. Survivors spoke of dark, shimmering veils that swept across their worlds, leaving devastation in their wake. But no sensors detected these shadows, and no known technology could halt them. The galaxy was paralyzed by fear. Vrel and her team had summoned the best minds in the galaxy to Azarix, hoping to pool resources and find a solution. Among them were the humans, a relatively new addition to the galactic stage. Their delegation, led by Dr. Elena Moreau, had arrived days earlier. Humans were resilient, curious, and resourceful, a combination that had earned them cautious respect among the other species. Elena entered the chamber, her face pale but determined. Behind her trailed her assistant, Malcolm Hayes, who was balancing a stack of data pads and looking distinctly uncomfortable under the gazes of the other aliens. "We've analyzed the latest samples from the infected zones," Elena began without preamble. Her voice echoed in the quiet chamber. "The shadows aren't some mystical force. They're microbial." The room fell silent. Turan's reptilian tail twitched in disbelief. "Microbial? You mean this plague is caused by bacteria?" "Yes," Elena said. "The shadows are clusters of airborne microorganisms. They're invisible to most sensors, but under the right conditions, they refract light and create the shimmering effect that survivors have described. What's more, they're highly adaptive. They've evolved to thrive in environments across multiple biomes, which explains how they've spread so quickly." Vrel stepped forward, her skin now glowing a cautious yellow. "And your kind? Humans? You seem unaffected." Elena hesitated. "That's the other part. These microorganisms, this bacteria, are harmless to humans. Our immune systems don't even register them as a threat. But to other species," she trailed off, unwilling to finish the thought. "You mean to say," Turan rumbled, his eyes narrowing, "that these shadows originated from you?" "No," Elena said quickly. "We've run genetic sequencing. These bacteria aren't native to Earth or any human-colonized world. They likely evolved independently, somewhere in deep space. But it's possible that humans, being carriers, have unknowingly spread them." The room erupted into chaos. Alien delegates shouted over one another, their voices a cacophony of anger and fear. Some accused the humans of engineering the plague. Others demanded immediate isolation of all human worlds. "Enough." Vrel's voice cut through the din. "We summoned the humans here for their expertise, not to place blame. Dr. Moreau, if humans are carriers, how do we stop the spread? Elena took a deep breath. We need to develop a universal treatment, something that can neutralize the bacteria across all species. That will take time. In the meantime, humans need to be quarantined from affected worlds. Quarantined? Malcolm muttered under his breath. That's going to go over well. Elena shot him a look but said nothing. She knew he was right. Humanity had fought hard to earn its place in the galactic community, and now they were being framed as walking bioweapons. Days turned into weeks as the research teams worked around the clock. Tensions mounted across the galaxy. Human colonies were placed under strict quarantine, their trade and diplomatic channels severed. Protests erupted on both sides, aliens demanding humanity's exile, humans decrying the unfair treatment. The fragile alliances between species began to fracture. In the labs on Azarix, Elena and Vrel worked side by side. Despite the growing distrust between their peoples, the two scientists found common ground in their shared goal. Vrel was fascinated by humanity's resilience, how their immune systems could adapt to threats that devastated other species. Elena, in turn, marveled at the Zelani's bioluminescent biology, which provided clues to combating the bacteria's light-refracting properties. One day, as they examined the latest batch of test results, Malcolm burst into the lab, waving a data pad. "We've got something," he said, nearly tripping over a lab bench. "What is it?" Elena asked. Malcolm grinned. "A compound. It's synthesized from Vrel's people's bioluminescent proteins. When introduced to an infected area, it disrupts the bacteria's cell walls and neutralizes them." Vrel's skin flared a bright green, a sign of excitement. "How soon can we begin distribution?" Elena frowned. "We'll need to test it thoroughly. The last thing we need is unintended side effects." But time was running out. Reports of new outbreaks were coming in daily. Entire systems were on the brink of collapse. With the Council of the Nine Suns pressuring them for results, Elena and her team decided to fast-track the compound's deployment. The first field test took place on a nearby colony. The bacteria had ravaged the planet, leaving its population on the brink of extinction. A small team, led by Elena and Vrel, deployed the compound via atmospheric dispersers. Within hours, the shimmering shadows began to dissipate. By the next day, the colony was free of infection. The news spread quickly. Humanity's reputation, once tarnished, began to recover. But the scars of the crisis remained. Many alien species still viewed humans with suspicion, wary of their potential as carriers of unseen threats. To prevent future outbreaks, the Council established a new division dedicated to monitoring and regulating microbial life across the galaxy. As for Elena, Vrel, and the others who had worked tirelessly to stop the plague, they became symbols of hope. Their collaboration proved that even in the face of fear and distrust, unity could prevail. But in the shadows of uncharted space, other dangers lurked, dangers that cared little for the fragile alliances of the galaxy. And humanity, for all its ingenuity, would soon learn that it was not immune to the mysteries of the cosmos.